Hey everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. You may have seen this kitchen in various other videos that I've done, usually walking around with my camera using StreamYard, but this time it's pretty stationary, so I may go in and out of frame a few times and may have to actually pick stuff up and show it to you so the camera on my new tablet will pick this stuff up. This is, of course, a pre-recorded video. It will be put on my Deadites on Deck channel a little bit later. I don't know if it will be before or after the Mystic Pizza watch along. Um, but what I'm going to show you guys and gals how to do um, is how to make your own Mystic Pizza. Okay, so I have a recipe. Click here again. Um, that is from a site called the Dinner Club. This was put on their website way back in 2010. So that's been over 10 years ago. June 24th, 2010, they put this on there. Um, I don't know if they I'm sure that the real Mystic Pizza restaurant or Mystic Pizza Pizzeria won't give out, the secret to their sauce and all that stuff. So I wouldn't count on this being 100% to Mystic Pizza. If you were to go to Mystic Pizza in Connecticut, I believe is where Mystic Pizza is located. And I wouldn't expect this to be the spot on 100%, but for my purposes, it's going to be close enough. And usually you can find, copycat recipes for just about anything if you want to Google it. So this is the one that I wanted to go by. It's the one I chose. There were other, like YouTube videos and stuff that claimed to show you how, and I went to one of them, and all it showed me was this brick fire type of board to put the pizza on, and that's all it was advertising. It wasn't showing me how to make Mystic Pizza, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to give up on that." So I actually just did a Google search and was able to find this website. Uh, so this person basically said, one of their favorite movies is Mystic Pizza, starring Julia Roberts. Um, Now they are wrong that it's a family of sisters. Two of the characters are sisters. Julia Roberts and Annabeth Gish are sisters, and JoJo, Lily Taylor's character, is their friend, not their sister. And of course, the owner of Leona, the owner of the restaurant, is not a sister. She's, she thinks of the three girls as her daughters. The daughters she never had. So you know me and how I like to be more accurate on stuff. I mean, that really doesn't matter for the purposes of us making this pizza at all. Um, but the pizza in the movie is one of the stars as well, and I definitely agree with that. This recipe that they're using actually came out of the Cooking Light edition back in 1998. Um, and the person that put this recipe out said their mom made it for us, and I just loved it. I brought this recipe back to life about 3 years ago and have continued to make it since. Very easy recipe, doesn't take long to make, which is awesome for me, especially since I've been busy doing stuff all day long. Um, Now, you may be thinking, well, why are you making this pizza, Dana? Didn't you say that you were going to get a frozen Mystic pizza? Yeah, I did. And those of you that have been in my last few streams um, will probably know the answer to this. But for anybody that wasn't sure or is interested in making their own Mystic pizza, here's your chance here. Um, what happened was Whole Foods, our local Whole Foods, through Amazon, was showing that they had two different types of Mystic pizza available. And I'm sorry for my hand. I burned my hand really bad on some grease frying some hamburgers the other day. So that's why my hand looks like this. Um, so at first I was going to have it just delivered. But then I thought they're wanting $9.95 just for delivery right here in Louisville. And I was like, yeah, that's a little steep. So Steve and I went to the only, I believe, Whole Foods we got here in Louisville that's over on Shelbyville Road. Went in there, went to the frozen pizza section, was looking, they had every other kind of pizza, no Mystic pizzas to be found. So I just thought I would ask somebody, being as the inventory on the website said that they had them. And they said that the cheese pizza was out of stock. And then a few days later, it was, or maybe about a week later, it was back in stock. To me, that doesn't sound like a discontinued scenario. So I went and I asked one of the workers, I said, do you have Mystic pizzas? And he just said right off, they've been discontinued. And I wasn't trying to be nasty, but I said, well, that's odd. I said, because the one was out of stock. The other one's been in stock the whole time, according to the website. And then a week later, the cheese pizza was back in stock. And he said, yeah, well, sometimes there's discrepancies in inventory. And he offered to go in the back and check for me, but I could tell he really didn't want to do that. He was stocking stuff. And so I was like, no, I said, you're busy. And he looked relieved that I didn't have him go back and do that. Okay, so then I thought I'd be smart. I thought I'd go ahead and have it delivered. Well, they let a couple hours go by and then they said they couldn't fill my order and my money would be refunded. And I'm sorry I look so hot and sweaty, but it is plain hot in this kitchen. And I've got fries in the oven right now, which makes this kitchen hotter. And it's, what degrees is it? It's 80 degrees, which isn't as hot as it has been. Not so miserably hot, but back here in the kitchen area and then the area where we have our computers is always a lot hotter than the rest of the house. So I may have to start and stop this video, like pause it a couple of times, because I'm going to be getting Steve's stuff ready, which I think now will probably be a good time to pause it, because his fries are almost ready. And then I will come back momentarily and we will continue this. So I'm going to pause it for right. Okay. I didn't know exactly how this would work when I paused it and then resumed it, but it thankfully it told me recording has resumed. So we're back to making the Mystic pizza. So what do we generally need to make this Mystic pizza? Okay. Um, there probably are going to be some modifications to the crust, at least, because this recipe calls for rapid rise yeast. Steve went to the store for me, bless his heart, I appreciate it. But he was not able to find rapid rise yeast, but he was able to find Delalo Italian pizza dough kit. And you can use this for pizza and calzones and stromboli. 3 easy steps. Just add water. Anybody can do that, right? So, some of what I'm showing you, I may not actually need to use. Okay. I would imagine the seasonings I will. And there's one thing that's missing from this that I have tried to find before, and that's fennel seeds. And for the life of me, I couldn't find fennel seeds last time I needed them for a recipe. And I wasn't even going to have Steve try to find them this time because I don't think he would be able to. I wasn't able to, so I can't expect him to to magically find them as well. So, and again, I apologize if you see fruit flies flying around here. We've still got a few that are uh, trying to take over our kitchen. And they're annoying as heck. So please forgive me if you see me slapping around at flies. Um, we're these few remaining ones, we're trying to get them taken care of. But anyway, back to the cooking. So what all do we need generally for this Mystic Pizza? I wish this thing, I think what I'm going to do is set the timeout or my screen goes dark um, to for it to be a longer time, I should say. So let me. My screen timeout's at 1 minute now. We're going to set it for 10 minutes, so I won't just have to keep messing around with this and getting it back on. So the normal recipe, if you're able to get quick rise yeast, is you'll need 1 package of quick rise yeast, okay, or 2.5 teaspoons. And normally, sorry, I'm stepping out of frame. Normally, it would be a packet about this size. And this is active dry yeast, but this is not rapid dry yeast. That is why I wanted to see if Steve could get me the rapid dry. Okay. So you would need that, a half a cup of warm water. Anybody that's got running water in their house, that's not something you're going to have to buy. A teaspoon of olive oil, and I love this. This is a little bit more expensive than like the store brand, but this is Bertolli extra virgin olive oil, and I like the taste of it. I like the way things taste that are cooked with it. So this is kind of my personal preference, Bertolli, and there's another kind that I like as well, but I can't. I'm forgetting the name of it now, so please forgive me there. But Bertolli is what we have today. Okay. You need some salt. I just got free flowing salt. It's the Kroger store brand. Do notice that this salt does not supply iodine. Now, we need iodine, so I wouldn't use this type of salt all the time, but it's definitely not going to hurt for the purposes of our cooking today. Okay. So we'll need a half teaspoon of salt. We need some cooking spray. We have at our house, we have Pam with a rich butter taste. I don't think that's going to hurt things, but if all you have is just like regular olive oil cooking spray or something without a butter taste, then you'll be fine. Just as long as you have cooking spray, okay? You don't have to have the exact same thing I've got. Cornmeal is something I'm not sure if I'm going to need to use, but this is cornmeal. This is buttermilk enriched white cornmeal mix. Self-rising, by the way, um, that I have used in certain circumstances. We need 3 garlic cloves minced. I have Spice World olive oil. It's garlic, minced garlic with olive oil in it. And you can get it without the olive oil, but I think the olive oil kind is really good too. All right, so what else do we need? We need a tablespoon. If I can get my right spice here. We need a tablespoon of a tablespoon chopped fresh, or 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. And this is the store brand from Kroger. This is Smidgen Spoon leaf oregano. Okay. Uh, Now they want or they suggest fresh cilantro. Unfortunately, I don't have any fresh cilantro now, um, so we're going to use Kroger brand cilantro leaves. Okay, so we need a tablespoon of that. But it's probably going to be more like, if you have the dried spice, it's probably going to be more like a teaspoon. Now, they do ask you to have 3/4 teaspoon fennel seeds. Unfortunately, as I said before, I have not been able to find fennel seeds in Louisville. Okay. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if you have to go somewhere special to get them, but I'm going to opt to leave that out. Okay. Um, so what else do we need? We need 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. Again, this is the Kroger store brand Smidgen Spoon. Crushed red pepper, it works just fine. And is a little cheaper. Also, what we need is 1 8-ounce can, no salt added tomato sauce. And why no salt added? Because we're going to put some salt in here, right? So I got 1 8-ounce can of Hunt's no salt added tomato sauce. And we also need 1.5 cups or 6 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese. Okay. And they suggest that you use part skim. And as you can see, this is shredded low moisture part skim mozzarella cheese. Now, a lot of times I get the Kroger brand, and Steve's, I'm going to have to take his dishes here. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so you're getting Steve making a appearance here. I'm going to stick these dishes in the dishwasher so they don't draw more flies. I'm not going to bother pausing this. This is just something that most of us women have to do on a daily basis. We got to take care of our husbands, right? All right. So now that I've showed you all the ingredients, we're going to get to making this pizza. Okay. So again, the recipe calls for rapid rise yeast. Unfortunately, I could not get rapid rise yeast. Hence me using um, Delalo Italian pizza dough kit. Okay. So again, that's probably why I'm not going to be adding maybe some of these ingredients I showed. But if you do have rapid rise yeast, um, this is what, these are the things you'll be using. I would imagine that they're probably, because I don't see flour on this. I did not see flour on this. Yeah. So I don't know if they were just going to do that uh, with cornmeal, but okay. Anyways, we've got the pizza dough kit, so we're good. Okay. Um, so The rapid rise yeast, of course, makes the process so much easier. So what you would normally do is put 1 pouch of yeast into a bowl, lightly spoon one part. Now, see, they don't tell you that you're putting flour in it, but I almost knew that you were going to have some flour in it. So if you're using rapid rise yeast, you'll put 1 pouch of yeast in a bowl, lightly spoon 1/4 cups flour and level it with a knife. Pour in sugar, 1/4 a teaspoon of salt, and lightly pour in the olive oil, and then pour in the warm water. You stir quickly until it forms a soft dough. Sometimes the person that did this recipe add just a little bit of flour so it isn't too wet. You dump the dough out onto a lightly floured surface. Knead until smooth and elastic, which is about 10 minutes. They usually only do it for about 5 minutes and it turns out just fine. Um, Again, they have to add some flour just to make sure it doesn't stick too much to their hands while they're working with it. Okay. When kneading or during the time when they're kneading the dough. Okay. Next, they place the dough in a bowl coated with cooking spray, turn to coat the top. They cover it with some plastic wrap and they let it rise in a warm oven. Usually I don't see warm oven, usually a warm room. And as hot as it has been, you can definitely get a warm room. But if you want to follow this recipe exactly, then you would let it rise in a warm oven at 85 degrees for about 30 minutes or until the dough doubles in bulk. So, what I'm going to show you is how to use this stuff, okay? But I did want to mention how she did the dough like from the beginning, okay? So, if you're using this Italian pizza dough kit, you'll need this, of course, a measuring cup and a mixing bowl and a fork. So, permit me to get my mixing bowl out here. I don't think we're going to need too big of one. Over here. And I have 2 sets of Pioneer Woman mixing bowls, and I love these things. I'm not saying you got to have mixing bowls that are Pioneer Woman. You can have whatever you like, okay? And normally I would use a wooden spoon, but since they're mentioning a fork, I'm going to get out a handy dandy fork out of the drawer here, okay? And we also need a measuring cup, right? So we're going to get a measuring cup out of here. This is my glass. It's 1,000 Wonders. I haven't broken it yet. Hopefully I won't break it on this video. This is my glass 2-cup measuring cup from Anchor. They make a lot of kitchenware. Okay. So we've got our measuring cup. We've got our pizza dough kit. And we've got our mixing bowl with our fork. Okay. So we're ready to get this dough started here. So pizza dough prep. Okay. And I'm reading this very carefully because I've never used this particular type of dough kit. And I want to make sure I do it right, especially when I'm doing a video, right? So, what you do is evidently there is a yeast packet in here. I mean, this is definitely a kit, right? So hold on 1 second here. So it has a yeast packet on the inside. Okay. So let's just go ahead and take this off here. Or maybe I will. There we go. That's some fancy packaging there, though. Eh? All right, so you combine the flour mix and the yeast packet in a large mixing bowl with 1 1/4. Oh, something I forgot. And I probably will get it out of or put it back. I don't want the pepperonis to get too warm. But I'm not just making a cheese pizza, I'm making a pepperoni. So we will be adding some DeLallo, same brand as the pizza dough kit, pepperonis to this pizza eventually. But you can get whatever the type of pepperonis that you like. Okay. So I didn't really know that I was going to have to mix all this up because it tells you it makes 4 10-inch pizzas. So I was thinking, oh, okay, I'll just do, a certain amount of it. So you can make 2 10-inch thick crust pizzas or 4 thin crust 10-inch pizzas. So, all right. So they want us to combine this flour mixture with the yeast. We're going to do that. I'm going to get my nice Pioneer Woman. And no, Pioneer Woman redrumming does not sponsor me. I just happen to have these things. But I'm going to use my Pioneer Woman scissors. Cut the top off of that. And we're going to put this in our mixing bowl here. See, we're pouring that stuff in there. So I guess I'm going to have some leftover dough because I'm not going to be making 4 pizzas tonight. I'm only planning on making 1. So me and Steve may be having some pizzas for a few days to come, right? So, and we're going to put our yeast packet. I like to do this because it kind of settles it down before you rip the package open. And we're just gonna sprinkle that yeast in there on top of the flour mixture. And then we are going to add 1 1/4 cups of lukewarm water. So I don't want to get water all over my. Now what? I think what we're going to do is we're going to pause this video again. I told you I might have to pause it a couple of times. And I'm going to go get some lukewarm water. And I will be right back. Okay. So I was just waiting for that recording resume to go away. And I have my 1 1/4 cups of lukewarm water. We're just going to pour it in the mixing bowl here with our yeast and our flour mixture, okay? I can smell the yeast. I actually like the smell of yeast. I don't know if all people do. So we're going to stir this with our fork until the dough begins to form, okay? So I'm just going to be stirring this until we get dough. Doesn't take very long. I think, even people that don't, if they have this dough kit, I'm thinking people that don't cook a lot or are not experienced cooks could do this just fine. There's Reggie. I've got the gate closed going in from the living room to the kitchen because if I didn't, he would be in my dough. We don't want that. Okay. Um, so once we get this kind of mixed up, I am getting a, also make sure your hands are clean when when you're dealing with food products, okay? So if you have to run the restroom or something, make sure you wash your hands good. I think everybody knows that. Um, but so now I need to knead this by hand. And if you aren't sure how to knead or you're not familiar with that word, um, then you can Google it. There are things that will show you how to knead dough, but it's basically squishing it and rolling it around with your hands, basically. Okay. In a nutshell. So that is what I am doing right this second. But I am going to set a timer. And since I've got my hands all messy, and as you can see behind me, I have an echo device. Um, I am going to tell it by voice to set a timer for 3 minutes. So, echo, set a timer for 3 minutes. So, so there we go. We've got the timer going, and I didn't even have to clean off my hands and go over there so I could, you know, set the timer on the stove. So that's one of the perks of having. Steve would laugh if he heard me say perks. But that's one of the perks of having these voice activated devices is that you can have your hands in the middle of something like this and not have to worry about even leaving it. Okay. You can just continue as you were. And that's what I'm doing. I am kneading this dough. Um, and this may get kind of boring for you guys, 3 minutes of watching me knead dough. So if it seems like it's taking a really long time, I may pause this as I'm continuing to knead the dough. But um, just so you know the basic process. So we're getting some nice, soft, elastic dough here. Actually, I like working with dough. To me, it's relaxing. I don't know. It might not be relaxing for everybody. But just keep swishing it around and pushing it with your hands. You can even put it out on a cutting board if you want to. I'm just doing it in the bowl. And if it seems a little too sticky, sometimes you can sprinkle a little flour on it. And that will make it a little less sticky. You don't want it extremely dry, though. You want it to be soft and elastic, kind of springy and all that. So you don't want it super dry. Anybody that has worked with pizza dough before will know. And you can see, I'll show you here what our dough is looking like here. Um, I'm just looking at the timer. We got about 13 seconds left, okay? And then we'll be ready to move to the next step. So that didn't take too awfully long. All right. Echo, stop. So again, my hands are kind of sticky with um, dough. So let's go on to the next step. So we did that until it is soft and smooth. Ours is or mine is pretty soft and smooth at this point. Okay. So transfer to a clean, lightly oiled uh, bowl and cover tightly with plastic wrap. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this real quickly, and then I'm going to clean my hands, and I'm going to get out a bigger bowl because we put yeast in this, right? So it's going to at least double in size. Okay. So I'm going to have to get my hands a little cleaner. As you can see, they're covered in the dough. Hopefully, I won't get my tablet messy. So I will be right back. Okay. So now we're back with a bigger bowl, um, because we know that this dough is going to rise. So we want to lightly oil the bowl. So hence we're going to use our Bertolli, or whatever your olive oil of choice is here. I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle some around here. Because remember, they said lightly oil, they didn't say saturated. So we're just gonna kind of move it around in there with our hand. I love the smell of olive oil too, by the way. Um, okay, so then we're going to transfer our dough out of the one bowl, and we're going to put it in this bigger bowl. Okay. Some of you may be thinking, gee, dang, I've had cooking classes, I've had home ec or whatever. Yeah, but it's always good to learn some new things, right? I had home ec too. So I'm not trying to treat people like babies. I'm just saying, I want to take you step by step through this process, okay? So I am going, it's not telling me to do this, but usually I always do this. I let the dough sit in that oil for a few seconds, and then I just flipped it over. Okay. So now I'm going to get a paper towel and wipe this extra oil off my hands and a little bit of dough there. And now we're going to get our plastic wrap. And you can basically use any plastic wrap that you want. I'm not saying you got to use a certain brand. I have Great Value. That's Walmart brand. Uh, Premium, they call it premium plastic wrap. I don't care as long as it does the job. So I'm just going to stretch some out over our bowl here. And I like this plastic wrap because it has a handy little cutter on it. Makes my life a lot easier. And we're going to make sure it's all covered. Okay. And then we're going to allow the dough to rise in a warm place. This kitchen is freaking warm enough. So we're going to let it sit here for, and I'm not going to stay on here while it's rising. I'm simply going to pause this and come back after it has doubled in size. We're going to give it about 45 minutes. So hopefully I won't have to change the time for the watch along, but if I feel like I'm cutting it close, I may change the watch along to maybe 7:30, 7:45. Um, so I hope that doesn't disappoint anybody, but I'm going to take a little break here and not keep y'all, on here for, 45 minutes while I'm basically waiting for dough to rise. So I will be back in 45 minutes, and we will go to the next steps. So, see you in a little. Okay, so we're back. We have let us for 45 minutes. There we go. You can see it has increased in size. So, and I look back over the directions, and we're still going to use this cornmeal, which is interesting because I've never fixed a pizza this way in particular. So I'm curious about how this is going to be. I'm hoping it'll be good, but okay. So we did, um, we did what the instructions on this pizza dough kit said on up until, so we're going to have some leftover dough because remember when I said that this kit would make, it would make two thick crust pizzas or four thin crust pizzas that are 10-inch a piece. Now, we're going to be making our pizza 12 inches, okay? And please excuse my pizza pan because it's gotten a little stained up over time. But this is my pizza pan. This is for a large size pizza. This is a Wilton pizza pan. I took care of it at first, and then I was like, stuff got on it and baked in and all that stuff. And so we're going to be making a bigger pizza. We're going to be making one 2 inches bigger than what this talks about. Okay. So instead of a 10-inch, we're going to make a 12-inch. Okay. So they tell you to preheat your oven to 450. So I'm going to walk over and get this set to preheating. Okay. And then we're going to try to divide this dough up. We're going to see if we can. So you're going to form a pizza by hand on the pizza pan of your choice. Okay. You can make it as thick as you want. If you like crust that is thick, then by all means, make it thick. If you like a thinner crust, then do that. I think I'm going to try to make mine like in between. I don't want it too thin. I don't want it too thick. Okay. It's kind of like the three bears, when Goldilocks came to their house and, she was testing the porridge and, uh, you know, first it was too hot, uh, too cold, and then the last one was just right. Okay. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do with this pizza crust. I'm going to make it just to my specifications. Okay. So we're going to form pizza by hand on a lightly oiled baking pan or pizza stone. Some of you may have pizza stones. I think me and Steve used to have a pizza stone, but we haven't used it in years. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying we didn't use it that much, and then it got stained up, so we kind of quit using it. So instead of going fully, now that we've got the dough made up, by these directions, I'm going to switch back to the Mystic Pizza recipe and follow their directions on how to get this dough made out. Okay. So they tell you to take out the dough and punch your fist into it. Okay. So if you're having a frustrating day, then just ball up your fist and punch it right into that dough. And my dough is a little oily, so I may have to wipe my hand off. So I punched my fist into that dough. That's a satisfying thing too. Um, wipe my hand off a little bit here because I've got olive oil all over my hand. But it's a satisfying thing to punch. Don't punch people, but you can punch pizza dough. Okay. Then we're gonna roll it out. But what I'm gonna do instead of getting the rolling pin and the cutting board and all of that, I'm just going to put it right on the pan. But we want to prepare the pan first, okay? So we're going to take our pizza pan and we're going to spray a little cooking spray on there, right? Okay. So I'm going to do that and be kind of generous with the cooking spray because over time I have come to the realization that stuff will stick. Okay. And we don't want our lovely pizza to stick, right? So I've got the cooking spray on there now. You and this Mystic Pizza recipe, I'm going to cover over this pizza dough just to make sure none of our little friends get in my pizza dough. Okay, so we are also going to remember when I talked about cornmeal? We're going to put a little cornmeal, we're going to sprinkle it over on our pizza pan. Okay, so how much cornmeal did we need? We need 2 teaspoons. Okay, so you can actually measure out 2 teaspoons, or you can do like I'm going to do and just get some out of the bag and you'll sprinkle it over here. Okay? So I know you can't see me, but trust me, I am sprinkling. I'm sprinkling cornmeal on our pizza pan on top. I'm not being real stingy, but I'm not overly putting this cornmeal. Just kind of trying to evenly put it on pizza pan. This might be a new thing. But next time I make homemade pizzas, I may do this. All right. So, just to assure you that I did put some cornmeal on our pizza pan. See that? Okay, so I just sprinkled some around. Okay, so, and we are going to take some of this dough. Keep in mind that I have enough to make more than one pizza. Okay, so I'm going to start to pull some of this dough out and take it over to my pizza pan. I'm going to start spreading it out. Okay? So what I'm going to do, so you guys don't have to just wait on me to do this, I am going to pause this again until I get the dough the way I want it. So I will return just a few minutes. All right, we're back. And just a note about this particular pizza dough mix. To get my, and I don't want to dump this out on the floor, to get my dough to fit on this large pizza pan, which I think is a decent sized pizza, I had to use all the dough that was in this pizza dough kit. Okay. So we've got our dough on there. I'm not the best at getting it all flattened out and having it just be silky smooth and all that stuff, but I do my best, right? So, the next part of this is going to be making our sauce. And I see that based on my time that I'm using to spend on this, I'm going to have to change the time for the watch along for Mystic Pizza to allow me to have time to finish this pizza. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this once again. And then when I come back, I'm going to be making the sauce for our pizza or my pizza. And I will be back in a few minutes. And apologies in advance, to people, they won't see this till later, of course. So I don't know why I'm apologizing on here. But apologies for the time change. And I know it's a Sunday. I know a lot of people have work in the morning. But this isn't a very long movie, so I think a little adjustment in time won't matter that much. So let me go adjust the time and then I will be back and we'll make this sauce. Okay. So I'm back again and I have went on and just to save time, I went on and opened my can of tomato sauce, 8-ounce can, no salt added um, sauce for to make our pizza sauce. Now we're going to be adding a few things to this, okay? So, so we're supposed to let our dough. I'm just going to cover it over while I'm doing the sauce with a clean towel here. And that will allow it to rise a little bit more while we're doing the sauce, okay? So in a small saucepan, and again, Pioneer Woman is not sponsoring my videos, but I do love my Pioneer Woman cookware. So some people don't like some of the Pioneer Woman stuff, but I haven't really had any problems with mine. So I guess it depends on what kind you get. I did have a stock pot or a soup pot that kind of got, truth be told, the bottom of it got kind of messed up when I used it on the stove. And this wasn't high heat or anything, but little grooves got in the bottom of it. That was Pioneer Woman. But I have not had trouble with this cookware. Okay. So to make the sauce. So we're going to add our 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce to our saucepan. Go. I want to take a spoon, just to make sure you get all of those 8 ounces. I'm not saying you have to, but just so you get all that saucy goodness, you can simply take a spoon. And if you're making this for a bunch of people, people are coming to your house to eat, I wouldn't recommend doing this. But since I'm primarily making this for me and Steve, then yeah, if I want to lick the spoon, I'll lick. All right. So we're also going to be adding some garlic to this, right? So let's see how much garlic we needed to have. We need 3 garlic cloves. Okay. So on this jar of minced garlic, it tells you that a teaspoon of this is 1 clove of garlic. Okay. And we need 3 cloves of garlic. So that means we need 3 teaspoons, right? I'm going to get out my handy dandy teaspoon set. This is not Pioneer Woman. This is Faberware, I believe, that you can get at Walmart. And I am just going to measure out 3 teaspoons of this minced garlic. Put in our sauce, okay? I love me some garlic, by the way. Stick this back in the refrigerator. Okay. And we also need, what do we need here? We need some salt, some oregano, some cilantro, basil, and pepper. Now, these were additional things that this lady that's doing this recipe is adding. Thankfully, I have these things on my spice shelf, so it's not a big deal. Okay. If you don't have these things and you're like, well, why didn't she put that at the beginning? I think the beginning part was a basic recipe and then she just adds things here and there as she likes them. She also left off the fennel seeds. Okay. So let's see how much of all of these things that we need. So we need, what do we need here? We need a half teaspoon of salt. Okay. So I'm going to find my half teaspoon, right? Gotta have my salt out here. And there went something on the floor. Let's just sprinkle our half a teaspoon of salt in there. Some of these things I'm going to put up as I'm using them, just so we can get them out of the way. Okay. And we need a teaspoon of dried oregano, which we have right here. I'm going to wipe off my teaspoon where we had garlic in there because it was kind of watery. And I'll put a teaspoon of the dried oregano. Now remember, if you're using fresh oregano, you happen to have that. You can use a tablespoon of that. But if you're using the dried that's on your spice shelf, then you only use a teaspoon. That back up there. So what else do we need? We need a teaspoon of some cilantro, because remember, I said I didn't have fresh cilantro. If you have fresh cilantro in your house, you are welcome to use a tablespoon of it. But because I have the dried, I am going to use a teaspoon of it. And I'm just going to sprinkle that in there. Okay. All right. And what else? What other spices we need in here? We're not using fennel seeds, but we are using crushed red pepper, right? And I'm also going to put a little basil in. So we need 1/4 of a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. We're going to sprinkle that in. And she also mentioned using basil, which do have some basil. I have some dried basil. Guess I haven't opened all. Maybe I have. Okay, so let's. Yeah, I think I have. So I have both dried basil and fresh basil. Well, let's see how much if she said how much she used. Um, she did not say, so I am going to just put a fourth of a teaspoon of basil in here. And I am using dry basil. That was a little bit more, but that's okay. I don't think it'll hurt anything. A little bit more. We love spices, right? Spices are good. All right. And I am just going to add just a little bit of ground black pepper. Not a lot. Sprinkle a little bit in. Okay. Because remember, we already have crushed red pepper in there, right? So we're going to cook this for about 10 minutes until the sauce is very warm. And again, she says she skips the fennel seeds and just uses dried herbs. Okay. So I'm not going to make you all wait as I do this for 10 minutes. I am going to go away again and heat this up, and then I will be back and get ready to spread it on our pizza. Okay, I'm back. And I have heated up our pizza sauce here. I don't know if I don't want to dump it out, but you can see it's steaming there. See, there we go. So, what we're going to do is we're going to spread this sauce on this lovely pizza crust, okay? So, even though you guys can't see me while I'm doing this, rest assured that I am spreading this pizza sauce on here. So, I'm just giving it a good mix just to mix those herbs in there. I am going to start spreading this. Okay. Making sure I get to that sauce out as I possibly can. And something else I didn't mention, but I did want to mention, is you can crimp the edges, just by pinching them with your fingers, just so all this luscious sauce will stay put. It needs to be, right? But sometimes I found if I don't the edges when I'm using homemade dough, that is exactly what will happen. It will simply run on pan. It should be. Just trying to get it even. Out over the pizza crust. And again, I am going to taste it because I'm not making this for a whole group of people. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to try to show you here. Follow me. Uh, there we go. You can kind of see it. Again, I don't want to dump my whole, that would be for me to dump it all out in the floor right here on video. You would probably hear me say several naughty words. And that sauce is pretty good. It is pretty tasty. I ain't gonna lie. So, I am going to put the cooking spray up real quickly here. And, well, I think I'm going to set this pan back on the stove momentarily. So, in the meantime, while I was away, I also measured out our cup and a half of mozzarella cheese. Okay. And I got out my pepperonis. These are DeLallo, same brand as the pizza crust kit. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is, I know some of you probably prefer the pepperonis on top of the cheese. I have got pizza at some pizza places, uh, namely Wick's Pizza here in Louisville, which is, if you're ever in Louisville, try Wick's Pizza. Excellent pizza, by the way, local. There might be one over the river in Indiana, but most of the Wicks are here in Louisville. Okay. So I would say whatever way you want to do it. If you want to put the pepperonis on top of the cheese, then by all means. If you want to put the pepperonis right on the sauce and then cover it with cheese, that's your prerogative. I think tonight I am just going to simply put them on top of the cheese because I don't know. I like to see those pepperonis uh, on there just glistening in all their glory, right? Right. So that means I'm going to go sprinkle this cheese onto the pizza. Rest assured that I am doing that. I wish I kind of had a bigger uh, area where I could actually take this pizza back over closer to the camera. But just make sure you put the cheese pretty evenly across this pizza. Nice, even as you can get. And it's going to melt and it's going to get straight and all that. Like mozzarella cheese, right? If you feel like you need to add a little bit more, I always get extra mozzarella cheese just to be on the safe side. But by all means, if you like to cheese it up a little bit, you put you some more mozzarella cheese on there. And some people like it right to the edge of the crust. I pretty much do. So it's whatever. It's to your specifications. I think I am going to do a bit of extra cheese. So there's no law that says you can't go over a cup and a half, right? If you get it from Domino's or Papa John's or any of these other places, I know a lot of people don't like Domino's. I like them. But if you get Papa John's, I think they have an option to kind of cheese it up. I think just for the hell of it, I'm going to use all of my cheese because this is a small bag. But again, there's no law that says you can't get a big old bulking bag of mozzarella, put it all over this baby. Okay. Because it's your pizza, right? You want the pizza made just the way you want it. Okay. And it might not be the way your neighbor or your best friend or even your spouse. Right? So if you're making it for you, you by golly make it for you. Okay. So again, here is the mozzarella on my pizza. Now I'm going to put pepperonis. And again, you put as many daggone pepperonis as you want on this, okay, or not. If you don't like pepperonis, by golly, you put salsa. If you want onions and peppers and olives and all of that jazz on there, then you can put that on there. Okay. So I don't know how other people like to put their pepperonis or sausage or whatever on pizza when they're layering it. But I start at the outermost point and just make a circle. Then I just keep making circles till I get to the center. If you want to add a few extra pepperonis here and there, that's your prerogative. So I'm, add my mix here. Don't know if Steve's gonna like this pizza. Hopefully he will, so he can help it. So I don't, get or whatever. All this pizza that's loaded with carbs and all of that stuff by myself. I know it's kind of like the pizza, but as I said, I've been just going all day long, put together one of those cubed organizer or cube bookshelves or whatever you want to call it. Um, and that took me a little bit. Didn't really have trouble with it, but it did take some time in the event. So I'm just adding a few more extra pepperonis because I love pepperoni. Okay, I think that's good. All right there. And then the thing about pepperonis usually they're fully cooked when they come in these packages, and so we can just snack away. So we now have, see that we got our crust all out. We've got our sauce added. We have our cheese, our mozzarella cheese added, and our pepperonis. Or in your case, whatever toppings you want to put on the pizza. Okay. So, um, now I believe we're going to cook this for 10 minutes, but let me just reference my recipe when we do this. So, we're going to bake at 450 degrees. Remember, we preheated our oven to 450 degrees for 10 minutes or until the cheese is melted and the crust is golden. And then at that point, if you want, you can remove the pizza to a cutting board and you can cut it into wedges or squares or whatever. But I am putting my pizza in the oven. And I am going to set the cook time for 10 minutes. And I'm going to be periodically checking it. Oops, I spelled cheese. Um, but basically, although it did take me over an hour to do this and record everything, that was including, letting our dough rise and all of that. But I now have the pizza in the oven. Um, I'm not going to, like, you people that are in the live stream, the watch along for Mystic Pizza, will see the finished product. So I'm hoping that some of the same people that will watch this video about how to make it. So I'm going to go away for now. I will see everybody that's going to be joining me for the Mystic Pizza watch along now at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So a little over a half an hour from now, I hopefully will be enjoying my Mystic Pizza and enjoying whoever's company that shows up for the Mystic Pizza watch along. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to be able to do more of these now that I've got a larger tablet and I can just bring up StreamYard and do these cooking videos without having to mess with my phone or something like that. This is a lot better. So, hope to see all of you at the watch along, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye for now, guys and gals.